Hi, my name is Dr. Andrew Kalingyuk. I'm a wildlife biologist working for Otterbein University, and I want to talk to you a little bit about how we use math in conservation biology. When we're talking about an endangered animal, you've probably heard these sorts of numbers where, like, there's 60 Javan rhinos left on the planet, there's 5,000 snow leopards left on the planet, and for something like really rare, we don't really know how much there is left, like ivory-billed woodpeckers here in the US. When we're talking about how we go out and find those numbers, some of those animals are really easy to get a number for. Elephants are big, right? If I were to go out in the Kenyan savannah, I could just look around and I look through binoculars enough, I could see a elephant. It's not generally very hard. Bears are real big, like grizzlies that you see right here. But some animals are hard to count. And if I were to go out and try and count all of these animals, it might be really difficult for me to do that, right? For like Borneo orangutans, they're in a jungle, right? It's very difficult to see long distances, so it would be hard to find them. Things like dogs that are living in a city on a street, like some of the stuff that I work on, it's very difficult to find them because they're hiding in alleyways, they're hiding under porches, that kind of thing. And things like whales are in the middle of an ocean. It's really hard to see them, right? It's very hard to track and keep track of animals living in an area that I can't see all of them. So a really classic example of this is if I want to go out and say how many fish are living in this pond. Well, I can't see to the bottom of this pond. It's kind of murky. It's hard to see to see everything that's going on this. So one of the ways that I can do this, I can go out and catch a few animals. So if I go out and fish and catch a couple fish and then give them a little bit of mark. For bears, that would be like putting an ear tag in an ear. For orangutans, something that would be like clipping a little bit of fur or fins when we're talking about fish or something. So it's just some mark to say, hey, I know who you are. You are a fish that I've seen before. Things like microchips, like for the dogs and cats that you probably have at home, that's a one way that we can mark an animal as well. Then we wait a little bit after letting the animal go again, and then we go back and catch some more individuals and see who has that mark. So when we do that, there's a little bit of math that can help us out with this, and that is our best guess on how many animals, the population size, is equal to the number of animals we caught that first time times the number of animals that we caught the second time divided by the number of animals in that second time that we already had known, right? So they had the ear tag or they had a little clip in it. So if I go out, for example, if I go out and catch 100 fish and I say, all right, I let those fish back out into that pond, and I say, okay, I go out a second time and I'm not as lucky. I catch 50 fish this time. And it turns out 30 of those 50 have that little clip in their fins or something like that, right? They have a mark that I've identified that as an animal that I know who it is. And then when I plug that into that math, what I want you to do is I want you to say, all right, do a little pause. So press the pause button right now and tell me, do this calculation. What is my population size? So press pause right now. And then once you've now unpaused, hopefully, when we see that this is around 166, 167 individuals in this lake as an estimate. So there's a little bit more math if we want to get more technical, but that's a pretty good guess on how many fish are living in this lake. So when we do this, there's a lot of problems that can go wrong. We can have issues where like it's hard to count animals for some reason or another. So the next little question that I want you to have is I want you to pause and make a list now of what are some traits of that animal's lifestyle or problems with the study design or problems with us seeing the animal that might make it hard to count these animals again. So I want you to pause for a moment, make a list, and now when we're talking about this list, we could be talking about individuals that might lose their tag. Maybe the ear tag rips out of their ear. Or maybe they might really like being in a trap because it has a lot of food in it. Or maybe there might be like some seasonal variation, right? It's hard to see all the bears in an area in the wintertime because they're all living in their caves over winter, right? So there's a lot of things that might make it hard for different specific animals to might make it difficult to capture them and figure out who they are in that population. So lots of different things that go into this, but it's just a general idea about how we go about capturing animals to produce a population size. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, I highly recommend you check out like the Skype a Scientist series, or if you have questions for me specifically, you can give me an email at yoke1@otterbein.edu. Again, I'm Dr. Calvin Yoke. I'm a wildlife biologist, and I'm more than happy to help out in any way that I can to kind of get you involved with wildlife biology. Let me know.